Hello friends, welcome into the Cowboys Report presented by BetDSI, the internet's #1 sportsbook. I'm your host Tom Downey, back with my latest Cowboys Mailbag with a few fan rumors sprinkled in there. First up from Rife K, do the Cowboys have the cap space to extend Tank and Zeke and Dak and Cooper and Byron Jones? So the long answer is yes, although at some point the money will get a little bit tight. But they have $60 million in cap space this year. You're going to pay DeMarcus Lawrence. Let's just say that's $20. You'll extend Amari Cooper, but he's only going to get about a $3 million raise per year because they're already making $14 next year. It's not that much of an increase, frankly. Byron Jones makes a little over $6, so let's say $15. That's $9. You can make that all happen for those guys this year. You don't have to truly worry about Zeke for a couple years. He's under contract plus the 5th-year option. Dak Prescott is where things do get dicey to make everyone fit in long term, but the Cowboys do have enough money. It just might mean you lose out on a guy like a Cole Beasley, for example, or maybe you don't re-sign one of your other defensive players like a Malik Collins down the road. But you can afford your top-end guys. You just better draft well because you're going to be thin on depth. All right, folks, we are going to do a live Q&A here on the Cowboys Report, so get your questions in the comments. Use hashtag Cowboys on Facebook and on YouTube, and we'll get your guys' question answered here near the end of the show. So get them flowing, and we'll bring up the best ones. All right, next up, we'll get to Dylan Van Pelt. Says, how much is Earl Thomas going to be worth in free agency? I think in the end, you can go look at previous contracts for safeties, and those always end up making sense, right? And Earl Thomas, he wants to be among the highest paid players at the safety position in the NFL. So you can go look at some of the highest paid options out there. And in the end, I think that's the right decision there for the Dallas Cowboys. So in the end, you're going to be looking at about $13 million over 5 years, so we'll call it $65 million total, with roughly $30 to $35 million of that guaranteed. Here are your highest paid safeties out there: Eric Berry, Rashad Jones, LaMarcus Joyner, Harrison Smith, Earl Thomas. Those are your highest paid players out there right now. You're kind of going to want to end up getting an Eric Berry type contract for Earl Thomas. So the Cowboys will get into it. They'll try to sign Earl Thomas. That'll be one of their goals. But the problem is, I don't know if they'll actually end up landing him. So there will be other teams that want to offer more money for Earl Thomas. That's going to be key for them. We'll see if they actually end up doing it, but that's going to be a route that they could very well end up going for the Dallas Cowboys. So we'll get to some more mailbag options here for you guys, and keep those comments flowing on Facebook. From ETCH Family Guy says, Cowboys have to pick between Zeke or Dak next year. They actually don't have to. Now, they might eventually have to pick between a guy, but they really don't, because they have Dak under contract next year, and Zeke Elliott also is through 2020 because of that 5th-year option, and you have the franchise tag. So if you're the Cowboys, you don't have to pick right now. And by the way, you guys aren't going to like this, but if the Cowboys do have to pick down the road and if money does become tight with other signings, don't be surprised if they pick Dak over Zeke. The way the NFL is run, fair or not, you would rather have an average quarterback than one of the premier halfbacks. That's just how the NFL works because quarterbacks are so important. I don't necessarily agree with it personally, but that's where I think the Cowboys sit. So you don't have to pick either right now. With the way their contracts are structured, you can keep multiple of them. You can keep them both down the road. But if you can only keep one long-term, who do you pick? Type D for Dak, Z for Zeke. I kind of figure you will all pick Zeke, but I'm just going to warn you now, don't be surprised if down the road at some point the Cowboys decide to say, you know what, let's go ahead and keep Dak and then just get a new halfback to come in, even spend a high-round pick, because you can find good halfbacks. It's tough to find good quarterbacks. All right, Monaco Serta says, rumor Antonio Brown to the Cowboys. Don't see that one happening, and for a variety of reasons here. The biggest being that, well, the Cowboys don't have cap space for Antonio Brown. Brown is if they swing a trade for Amari Cooper and include Amari Cooper, which I don't think they want to do right now. You can't afford Amari Cooper and Antonio Brown upwards of $17 million. You can't throw $35 million total between two guys at your wide receiver depth chart. That's just not going to happen. Now, the Steelers will consider trade requests, and their owner came out and said, really all of 5 minutes ago, I think, that they are open to moving Antonio Brown. I think they're kind of fed up with him. But Pittsburgh needs draft picks. The Cowboys don't have a first-round pick. So those two sides, they don't make any sense as trade partners. A team like the Niners or the Jets or the Raiders make a lot more sense in the end there for the Steelers and Antonio Brown, not so much Cowboys. It'd be fun. It can work on Madden, but it's not going to end up happening in real life. So do not expect an Antonio Brown trade anytime soon, ever really, for the Dallas Cowboys. All right, more trade talks. Imponderable Lion says, what could we trade for Von Miller? Well, much like the Antonio Brown discussion, it's not going to happen because I don't think Denver's going to actually trade away Von Miller. But if you're going to shop and trade for Von Miller, you can't pay $20 million or so to 2 defensive ends. That's not how NFL teams are built. That's not how the Cowboys can afford to work. So if you're going to trade Von Miller with no first-round pick, by the way, you're going to have to actually include DeMarcus Lawrence in a trade. So don't expect that one to go down. Von Miller, despite what his mom says, is not coming to the Cowboys anytime soon. All right, folks, today's show is brought to you by BetDSI, the internet's #1 sportsbook. Head over to chatsports.com/bet. Use promo code Cowboys120 for a 120% deposit bonus. Put down $50, they're going to give you $60 for free. Put down $100, they're going to give you $120. Put down $500, and BetDSI will get you $600 in bonus money to bet with. Chatsports.com/bet. Use that promo code Cowboys120, and it gets you a 120% deposit bonus. All right, next up from Drew Milwee says, if Dak gets us to the NFC Championship game or beyond, does he deserve to be paid in the top tier of NFL quarterbacks? So I don't know quite, Drew, what you mean by top tier. Do you mean top 5? Do you mean top 10? If it ends up being top 10, the answer is going to be pretty much yeah, because that's how quarterback contracts works. The next guy often gets paid the highest. And what you're really asking is, Dak Prescott going to pull a Joe Flacco? Is he going to get paid in a big, big way? I don't think Dak is going to get $27+ million a year. I don't think that's going to be his price tag. I really don't. He's not going to get 33.5 unless maybe he does go in the Super Bowl. Maybe then he does truly become the Joe Flacco 2.0, which might be a bad thing for the Cowboys, but I don't care. Just give me the Super Bowl win. I think in all likelihood, it's kind of more in the range of 20 to 25 million. Is it a Derek Carr contract? Maybe you get lucky and it's more like an Alex Smith contract, but here's the end result for the Cowboys. If Dak hits the open market, look how much Kirk Cousins got. At the time, he was the highest paid, right? If Dak hits the open market, wouldn't he get a Kirk Cousins contract? I think he'd take a little bit less than pure market value for the Cowboys, but he signed with CAA. He wants to get paid. So when Dak Prescott does sign that extension, assuming he has as of late, it's going to be expensive. We can have that debate later on. But how much is Dak Prescott worth per year? Let me know what you guys think in the comment section. I think you'll see Dak get a pretty hefty sum of money there. I think in the end, it's going to end up in around that $25 million range, maybe $20 million, depending on how many years, how much guaranteed. All right, Austin Rystad up next. Rumor, can Andy Dalton become Dak's backup? I don't think so. In fact, I don't think it's going to happen at all because it doesn't make sense for Andy Dalton. Now, Andy Dalton right now could very well be cut by the Cincinnati Bengals. They could enter a reset with, I assume, a coach coming from outside the organization. But the Cowboys are not going to trade for his $16 million salary, obviously, and it's all non-guaranteed, so a cut is the only option here for the Cowboys and Dalton. But if Dalton does get cut, why does he want to go be a backup for Dak Prescott? That doesn't make sense for Dalton. He'll want to start or go to somewhere like Miami instead. That makes way more sense for Dalton. So it's not going to happen, at least not this offseason. Maybe if things change later on in the year, but for now, that just doesn't make sense for the Cowboys whatsoever. All right, folks, we'll have a live Q&A coming up here in a little bit, so use hashtag Cowboys to have your questions featured live. Whatever you guys want on the Cowboys, the upcoming playoff game, rumors, news, free agency draft, fire away in the comment section. Just use that hashtag Cowboys. All right, Cowboys for life. Do you think trading, or I think he means cutting Sean Lee, is a good idea to free up cap space? You guys know this about me. I love me some Sean Lee. I got his jersey. It's time for Sean Lee to go. It just doesn't make sense anymore from a financial perspective for the Dallas Cowboys, or even really for Sean Lee. They're not going to pay him $7 million a year to play 4 snaps in a playoff game. The Cowboys are not going to do that. So he'll be cut, I think, more so than traded. I don't know if a team wants to bring him on right now, kind of nerfing his trade value at this point. But, and the next question coming in from Austin Rice that kind of plays into this, Could Dallas get Sean Lee to be the linebackers coach next year? And I've been guilty of this before because I love Sean Lee. I think he'll make a great coach. Let's not forget, though, that Ben Bloom is actually a really good coach, too. Let's give Ben Bloom some credit because I never mentioned his name. I want to make sure I do that. Ben Bloom's a good coach. Now, could he be an assistant defensive coach? Sign me up. There is a spot for Sean Lee on this defensive coaching staff if that's what he wants to do. And the Cowboys, I'm sure, will offer it to him. The question is, would he rather go coach a potentially bigger role, which I kind of doubt, or more likely, does he still want to play football? If that's the case, maybe Sean Lee doesn't, but I want him as a coach. I'd prefer assistant linebackers coach right now because Ben Bloom is actually very good at what he does. All right, folks, today's show is brought to you by BetDSI, the internet's #1 sportsbook. Head over to chatsports.com/bet. Use promo code Cowboys120 for a 120% deposit bonus. Put down $50, they'll give you $60 for free. Put down $100, they're going to give you $120. Put down $500, they'll give you $600 in extra money to bet with, but only if you use promo code Cowboys120 at chatsports.com/bet. All right, more questions/rumors from Bobby Gutierrez says, will the Cowboys keep Scott Linehan if they win the Super Bowl? Yeah, right? Like, when was the last time a team won the Super Bowl and fired a coordinator? It just doesn't happen. And you guys know that I don't like Scott Linehan, and many of you don't like Scott Linehan either. I would sign my soul away to say Linehan could be my OC for the next 5 years if you guarantee me a Super Bowl win this year. Give it to me. It's been a long time since the Cowboys do that. So if the Cowboys win the Super Bowl, Linehan can stay. I don't care. He'll probably be a head coach candidate all of a sudden again. So sign me up for that. I would gladly trade having to keep Scott Linehan for 5 or whatever years if I win a Super Bowl this season. All right, Andy says, do we release T-Will, meaning Terrance Williams? I think so. The Cowboys would be like every NFL team ever and try and trade him first, but no one's going to want to bring in Terrance Williams. A $4.75 million cap hit this year. The Cowboys save $3.5 million by cutting him if they make it a post-June 1st cut. So there's little reason to actually bring Terrance Williams back right now. He didn't make an impact this year. You cut him, save almost $4 million. Use that on a position. Use that on an extension for Amari Cooper. Think about it this way. You can use that money you save by cutting T-Will and throw it right at Amari Cooper, and he might sign his extension just like that if you give him that per year. That makes a lot of sense to me. All right, folks, I'm wearing a Mizzen and Main shirt, making me look at least passable here on air. Go get one of your own over at comfortable.af. These are the most comfortable dress shirt you will ever find. They also make some sweaters, too, and those are quite nice as well. Comfortable.af. All right, Donald Trump. Why is T-Will on the roster, yet we cut Brice Butler? First off, thank you, Mr. President, for watching. I know you've got a wall that you're trying to build right now. But maybe that's why you haven't been paying attention, because Brice Butler actually isn't good. That's why they cut him. Why are we still talking about this? Brice Butler is not good at receiver. Every place he's been, he has been a number 4, number 5 receiver. He's just not a good football player. He caught 6 passes this year. You trade for Amari Cooper, and we're all still pining after the mediocre Brice Butler. Look, the Cowboys needed a roster spot for Amari Cooper. Terrance Williams was already on IR. Cutting him would have done nothing for the Cowboys. So, you cut Brice Butler, you bring in Amari Cooper, and your receiving core is way, way better. That's why he got cut. I don't think he's coming back to the Cowboys either. Maybe someone signs him, but the dude couldn't make the Cardinals roster, and they have 1 receiver in Larry Fitzgerald, 2 if you want to count Christian Kirk. All right, Sam M, my boy, says, what positions need to be addressed the most in the offseason? We'll have a full team needs video later on once the season's over. By the way, subscribe at youtube.com/Dallas Cowboys Report. You'll get it up there. Here are the top team needs as we sit right now, and I'll break down why defensive end is at number 1. DeMarcus Lawrence is a free agent, so these needs reflect that. Now, once the Cowboys franchise tag tank or re-sign them more long-term, fingers crossed, they're fine. Cole Beasley, Tavon Austin. Right now, you're number 3 and you're number 4, given that Allen Hurn's a big question mark next year. They're free agents too. Defensive tackle looking long-term. Malik Collins, Tyron Crawford might not be back beyond next season. Antoine Woods has to be re-signed, which I think is going to happen. And most importantly, David Irving's gone. Tight end, I still think the Cowboys want to add somebody, safety as well, and offensive line also right in that mix as well. Once we get to the franchise tag portion, defensive ends are going to fall down. They'll do everything they can to re-sign Tank Lawrence. But in reality, for the draft, you're looking defensive tackle, receiver, depending on what happens with Cole Beasley and Tavon Austin, tight end, safety, and yes, offensive line as well. All right, folks, use hashtag Cowboys to have your questions featured here in just a little bit. We'll have a live Q&A. Bunch of questions I've never seen before, so all off the cut. Get them in there. Use that hashtag Cowboys. Whatever questions you want, as long as they are Cowboys related. All right, Sandman, I love his question, man. Is Carrot Top, he means Jason Garrett, keeping weak-ass game plan Linehan and his flunky Kellen show me the door more, I like how that rhymes, around to be the fall guys if we lose Saturday night? If the Cowboys do let go of Linehan and of Kellen Moore, I think it's because they lost Saturday night. And I'm okay with that. If the Cowboys can't beat the Rams, it's probably because their offense didn't perform very well. I am all aboard firing those guys. It might end up being, by the way, a situation where Jerry Jones says, hey, Jason, you want a contract extension? You only have 1 year left. Cool. Fire Linehan. As loyal as Jason Garrett is, I think he would end up doing that. Hey Cowboys fans, thanks for watching the Cowboys Report. If you haven't already, click right here to subscribe to our channel for all the best Cowboys coverage on the internet. That's news, rumors, highlights, mailbags, film studies, and a whole lot more. And I'm making your lives a little bit easier as well with the next Cowboys Report video right here.